Sarah Chen stood at attention in Director Walsh's office, her boots planted firmly on the polished floor of Terran Security Command. Through the panoramic windows behind his desk, New Shanghai's crystalline spires pierced the morning fog, their shapes oddly fitting given her upcoming assignment. Specialist Chen, Walsh began, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display between them. What do you know about crystalline sentience? Generation ships discovered them in the Carina sector, sir. Silicon-based life forms with advanced technological capabilities. Largely isolationist. Sarah's response was crisp, practiced. 15 years in xenobiological security had taught her to keep answers short and relevant. Walsh nodded, expanding the hologram to show a shimming humanoid figure. Its surface caught the light like cut diamond, refracting into countless colors. Meet Chris, refugee, scientist, and now your full-time responsibility. Sarah studied the image, noting the elegant geometric patterns that formed what appeared to be the being's face. Refugee from what, sir? That's classified at the highest levels. Walsh's expression hardened. What you need to know is that Chris possesses information vital to Earth's security. Multiple parties want that information, and not all of them plan to ask nicely. The hologram shifted, showing incident reports from other crystalline encounters. Sarah's eyes widened at the casualty figures. Sir, standard containment protocols. Won't work, Walsh interrupted. Chris's molecular structure is unique. We've already lost 2 containment specialists to what we're calling resonance events. He paused, fixing Sarah with a stern look. Your psych profile shows the highest resistance to external influence we've ever recorded. That's why you're here. Sarah's jaw tightened. Resistance to external influence was a polite way of saying she'd survived multiple attempted psychic attacks during the Proxima incident. The neural scarring had left her with migraines and a permanent distrust of anything trying to get inside her head. Your orders are simple, Walsh continued. Protect Chris, prevent any unauthorized access to their knowledge, and most importantly, maintain absolute biological isolation. No direct contact, no resonance. Clear. Crystals, sir. The weak attempt at humor fell flat. This isn't a joke, Chen. The last specialist who made contact was found with their nervous system crystallized from the inside out. We still don't understand how. Sarah suppressed a shudder. Why not just keep Chris in a sealed facility? Tried that. Their biology requires periodic exposure to specific radiation frequencies found only in natural starlight. They'll need supervised outdoor access every 72 hours. Walsh stood, gathering his tablets. Plus, a moving target is harder to hit. You'll be provided with a secure apartment in the diplomatic quarter. Standard protection protocols apply. Sarah absorbed the information, already calculating security patterns and escape routes. When do I start? The door behind her whispered open. Sarah turned, and despite her years of experience, couldn't help but gasp. Chris stood in the doorway, their crystalline form catching the morning light and transforming it into a cascade of colors that danced across the office walls. They were taller than the hologram suggested, nearly 7 feet, with a graceful geometry to their movement that seemed to defy physics. What Sarah had thought were facial features were actually complex patterns that shifted and flowed like liquid crystal. Specialist Chen, Chris spoke, their voice a harmonic blend of tones that seemed to resonate in Sarah's chest. I trust we will work well together. Sarah forced herself to look away from the hypnotic patterns, remembering her training. Protocol dictates a minimum safe distance of 3 meters at all times. Your species' caution is understandable. Chris's patterns shifted in what might have been amusement, but perhaps unnecessary. The resonance events were unfortunate accidents. My job is to prevent accidents, Sarah replied firmly. Shall we proceed to the secure transport? As they moved through the building's high-security corridors, Sarah maintained her professional distance, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about this assignment. Every few steps, she caught flickers of color in her peripheral vision, like her brain was trying to process patterns that shouldn't exist. In the secure garage, Sarah performed a thorough sweep of their vehicle while Chris waited patiently. The crystalline being seemed to be studying her with equal intensity, their surface occasionally rippling with new patterns. "Your neural architecture is fascinating," Chris commented as they finally entered the vehicle. "The damage from previous attacks has created unique resonance patterns." Sarah's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "My neural architecture isn't relevant to this assignment, and scanning it without permission violates at least 3 protocols. My apologies." Chris's tone carried genuine contrition. "Observation is instinctive for my kind. I will attempt to restrict it." As they pulled out into New Shanghai's morning traffic, Sarah tried to focus on her driving, on the security patterns she needed to establish, on anything except the growing sensation that her passenger was somehow changing the air in the vehicle. Her migraine implant throbbed, picking up frequencies it wasn't designed to detect. "You're doing it again," she said through gritted teeth. "No," Chris responded, their patterns darkening with concern. "This is unexpected. Your neural architecture appears to be resonating spontaneously with my presence. Most unusual." Sarah pulled the vehicle over, breaking at least 2 traffic laws in the process. "Listen carefully," she said, turning to face Chris while maintaining her distance. "I don't care how unusual my brain is. I don't care what patterns you find fascinating. My job is to keep you safe and isolated. That's it." Chris was silent for a moment, their surface rippling with complex equations. "Your dedication to protocol is admirable, Specialist Chen. But I fear isolation may no longer be possible. The resonance has already begun." Before Sarah could respond, her migraine implant screamed a warning, and the world dissolved into crystalline light. Sarah awoke to the sound of breaking glass. Her vision swam with crystalline patterns, but her combat training kicked in instantly. She was on the floor of the vehicle, Chris crouching protectively over her as projectiles shattered the reinforced windows. "Multiple hostiles," Chris reported, their crystalline surface pulsing with urgent patterns. "They're using sonic disruptors calibrated to my species' resonant frequency." Sarah forced herself upright, fighting waves of dizziness. The world looked different, sharper, geometric patterns visible in everything from the air currents to the electromagnetic fields of nearby vehicles. "What did you do to me?" Later, Chris insisted. "The resonance bond was unexpected, but it may be our only advantage right now." Another sonic blast hit the vehicle, making Chris's surface crack slightly. Sarah's new awareness showed her the attack pattern like a visible shockwave. Without thinking, she grabbed Chris's arm, ignoring protocol completely. Their crystalline surface felt warm, alive, and the moment they touched, the geometric patterns in her vision intensified. "The service tunnel," they said simultaneously, Sarah seeing the escape route through Carissa's enhanced perception while Chris accessed it through her tactical training. They moved as one, Sarah's military expertise combining with Carissa's alien capabilities in a deadly dance. As they burst from the vehicle, Sarah could see their attackers through walls, their energy signatures burning bright against the geometric backdrop of the city. 5 hostiles, advanced tech, moving with military precision. "Black market tech," Sarah muttered, recognizing the signature of illegal sonic weapons. "Professional hit team." "Yes," Chris confirmed, their surface rippling with calculations. "But they don't know about the resonance bond. They expect me to be vulnerable to sonic attacks." Sarah's tactical mind raced through options, now enhanced by Chris's computational abilities. The service tunnel ahead connected to New Shanghai's underground maintenance network, a maze of passages they could use to lose their pursuers. But first, they needed to deal with the immediate threat. "Can you amplify electromagnetic fields?" Sarah asked, spotting a maintenance panel ahead. "Through you, yes. The resonance makes it possible." Chris's patterns shifted to match Sarah's thoughts. "Ah, clever." Sarah placed her hand on the panel. feeling Chris's energy flow through her. The geometric patterns in her vision concentrated, and suddenly she could see the power conduits running through the walls like rivers of light. With a thought, she redirected the flow, creating a cascading power surge. The pursuing team rounded the corner just as the surge hit. Their sonic weapons, tied into their suit systems, overloaded spectacularly. The attackers went down, their equipment sparking uselessly. "We need to move," Sarah said, already running tactical scenarios. "They'll have backup, and that surge will bring security forces." They descended into the maintenance tunnels, Sarah's enhanced perception guiding them through the labyrinth, while Chris's energy masked their signature from pursuit. The resonance between them grew stronger with each passing moment, making it increasingly difficult to tell where her thoughts ended and Chris's began. "This shouldn't be possible," Sarah said as they paused in a junction, checking for pursuit. "The protocols exist for a reason. Human crystalline resonance is supposed to be fatal." Chris's surface rippled with what Sarah now recognized as concern. The protocols were based on incomplete data. "My people, we did not share everything with your governments." "Big surprise," Sarah muttered, but the resonance let her feel Chris's genuine regret at the deception. "The resonance is not meant to be fatal," Chris explained. "It is how we originally communicated with other species. But after the war began, some tried to weaponize it. The protocols were created to prevent further attempts." Sarah's migraine implant throbbed, trying to process the alien frequencies now flowing through her nervous system. "The war you're supposedly a refugee from." "The war I'm trying to prevent from reaching Earth," Chris corrected. Their patterns shifted to show complex strategic simulations. "The information I carry, it's not just data. It's a warning. And now through our bond, you can see it too." The geometric patterns in Sarah's vision shifted, and suddenly she was seeing more than just the immediate environment. Strategic projections, probability matrices, invasion vectors, all pointing to an imminent threat to both their species. "The hostile faction," Sarah breathed, understanding dawning. "They're not just after you. They're advanced scouts." "Yes, and they will keep coming." Chris's surface darkened with urgency. "The resonance between us wasn't planned, but it might be our only chance. Your military experience combined with my people's capabilities." A distant explosion interrupted them, followed by the distinctive whine of military-grade scanners. Sarah checked her tactical overlay, now enhanced by crystalline perception. Security forces and more hostiles, converging from multiple directions. "We need to reach the sanctuary," Chris said, their patterns forming navigational matrices. "There are others like us there, ones who discovered the truth about resonance." Sarah's training screamed at her to follow protocol, to maintain isolation, to report to command. But the resonance between them showed her the larger truth and the price of failure. "Lead the way," she said, readying herself for combat. "But when this is over, we're having a long talk about full disclosure." Chris's surface brightened with what Sarah now recognized as their version of a smile. "Agreed, though I suspect you'll know everything I know before then. The resonance has only begun to show its potential." As they moved deeper into the underground network, Sarah felt her perception expanding further, the geometric patterns revealing new layers of reality. They weren't just running anymore, they were evolving. And somewhere in the city above, their pursuers were about to learn why crossing a resonance-enhanced human crystalline team was a very, very bad idea. The sanctuary, as it turned out, was hidden in plain sight within New Shanghai's abandoned quantum computing district. Sarah's enhanced perception revealed crystalline signatures woven through the building's foundations, creating a complex interference pattern that masked the facility from conventional scans. "Your people have been busy," she commented as Chris guided them through a series of geometric security barriers that responded to their combined resonance signature. "We had help," Chris replied, their surface shifting to display images of other human crystalline pairs. "Not all accidents are tragic. Sometimes they lead to evolution." The sanctuary's interior was a marvel of hybrid technology. Crystalline structures grew seamlessly from human architecture, creating spaces that seemed to exist in multiple dimensional planes simultaneously. Sarah's new perceptions showed her the flow of information and energy through the facility, a living network of human and crystalline consciousness. They were met by an unlikely pair, Dr. Maya Patel, a former quantum physicist Sarah recognized from security briefings, and a crystalline being whose patterns identified them as Tiller, one of Carissa's colleagues. "The resonance is strong with you both," Maya observed, her eyes showing the same geometric awareness Sarah now possessed. "Stronger than any we've seen." Because it was unplanned, Tiller's patterns shifted in what Sarah now recognized as excitement. Natural resonance is always more powerful than induced bonding. Sarah's tactical mind was already analyzing the facility's defenses. "We brought trouble with us. How secure is this location?" "Secure enough," Maya assured her. "But that's not what you need to worry about right now." She gestured to Sarah's hands, which had begun to display faint crystalline patterns under the skin. Sarah stared at the geometric formations spreading through her body. Her enhanced perception showed her the changes at a molecular level, human cells incorporating crystalline structures, creating hybrid tissues that could process information and energy in entirely new ways. "The transformation usually takes weeks," Tiller noted, patterns swirling with scientific curiosity. "Yours is progressing at an unprecedented rate." "Because she's fighting it," Chris observed. "Her resistance to external influence is actually accelerating the process. The more her body tries to reject the changes, the more completely it adapts." Sarah felt a surge of panic, her military training screaming about biological contamination protocols. But the resonance with Chris showed her the truth. This wasn't contamination, it was convergence. Evolution. "The hostile faction," she said, forcing herself to focus on the immediate threat. "They're not just advanced scouts. They're trying to prevent this from happening, aren't they?" Chris's surface darkened. "They believe humanity should be conquered, not elevated. The resonance threatens their plans for both our species." Maya led them deeper into the facility, to a chamber where dozens of human crystalline pairs worked in perfect synchronization. "We're building a defense network," she explained, "using the resonance to create a planetary shield that no conventional force could penetrate." "But we're running out of time," Tiller added. "Our intelligence suggests the main invasion force is already entering the solar system." Sarah absorbed this information through both human and crystalline perspectives. Her tactical training combined with Carissa's strategic algorithms, showing her potential scenarios with crystal clarity. "They'll target this facility first," she concluded. "Take out the resistance before launching the main assault." "Yes," Chris confirmed. "That's why the assassination teams were sent. They've been eliminating potential resonance pairs before they can bond." A sudden spike of pain shot through Sarah's nervous system as another wave of transformation hit her. The crystalline patterns under her skin pulsed with energy, and for a moment, her perception expanded beyond the facility, beyond the city, showing her the approaching threat in terrifying detail. "They're here," she gasped, as geometric patterns revealed multiple ships dropping out of quantum space. "Strike team, at least 30 hostiles, using some kind of crystalline tech disruptors." Maya and Tiller moved in perfect sync, activating the facility's defenses. "The shield network isn't ready," Maya said. "We need at least another hour to bring it online." "Then we'll give you an hour," Sarah replied, feeling Chris's energy harmonize with her own. The resonance between them had reached a new level, turning them into something neither fully human nor fully crystalline. "Your transformation isn't complete," Chris warned, their patterns showing concern. "Using our full capabilities now could be dangerous." Sarah smiled, feeling crystalline facets form at the corners of her mouth. "Dangerous for them, you mean?" She could see the tactical advantage they held. The hostile force was expecting to find weak, unprepared targets. Instead, they would face a fully bonded resonance pair, combining human combat expertise with crystalline energy manipulation. "Maya, Talur, hit that shield online," Sarah ordered, her voice carrying harmonic overtones that made the air shimmer. "Chris, let's introduce these scouts to the new evolutionary step they're so afraid of." As they moved toward the upper levels, Sarah felt the last barriers between her and Chris's consciousness dissolve. They weren't two beings working together anymore. They were a single entity, greater than the sum of their parts. Through their combined perception, she could see the hostile force approaching, their own crystalline tech crude and limited compared to the true potential of resonance. "Ready?" she asked, but the question was merely formality. Through the resonance, they moved and thought as one. Chris's response rippled through their shared consciousness like light through a perfect crystal. "Let's show them why evolution can't be stopped." The first explosion rocked the building above, and Sarah felt her transformed body respond with newfound power. The battle for humanity's evolution was about to begin, and she was its first warrior. Sarah and Chris moved through the quantum computing district like living lightning, their merged consciousness processing combat data faster than any human or crystalline being could alone. Through their enhanced perception, the approaching hostile force appeared as a network of dark geometric patterns, their crude crystalline tech creating discordant resonances in the fabric of reality. "Their technology is flawed," Sarah/Chris observed, their merged voice carrying harmonic frequencies that made nearby windows vibrate. "They're trying to weaponize resonance without understanding it." The first wave of hostiles breached the building's upper levels, their armor covered in artificial crystalline growths that pulsed with angry red energy. Sarah's military training, amplified by her transformation, identified their weak points instantly. The crystals were forced into resonance, slaves to their users rather than partners. Such waste, Chris's thoughts rippled through their shared consciousness. Such fear of true evolution. They engaged the first team in what would have looked like a dance to normal human eyes. Sarah's combat moves flowed with impossible grace as Chris's crystalline energy extended from her transformed body, creating geometric shields and weapons of pure resonance. The hostile force's weapons, sonic disruptors and crystalline tech, proved useless against their perfectly synchronized defenses. "The shield network needs more time," Maya's voice echoed through their crystalline communication network. "We're redirecting power from the entire district." Sarah accessed Chris's knowledge of crystalline engineering, understanding flowing between them like light through a prism. "Their main force is carrying quantum destabilizers," she reported, seeing the weapons through multiple layers of reality. "They'll try to shatter the network's resonance pattern." The battle spread through the abandoned buildings, geometry and violence merging into a new form of warfare. Sarah and Chris's merged form moved with devastating efficiency, their attacks targeting the artificial crystals forced into the hostile force's armor. Each strike freed the enslaved crystalline structures, turning the enemy's weapons against them. But the hostile force had numbers on their side. As Sarah and Chris cleared one level, more troops poured in from above, their weapons becoming increasingly desperate and destructive. The entire district shook with quantum disruptions and sonic blasts. "They're not just trying to stop us," Sarah realized, their merged consciousness processing strategic patterns. "They're trying to prevent the transformation from spreading." Through their enhanced senses, they could feel the resonance rippling outward from their battles, touching others in the city. Every human and crystalline being in range was experiencing echoes of their connection, seeds of potential evolution taking root. "The invasion fleet commanders are watching," Chris added, their shared perception extending into orbit. "If we succeed here, their entire strategy fails. Forced subjugation becomes impossible once willing evolution is an option." A massive explosion rocked the building's foundation. Through the smoke, a new figure emerged, larger than the others, its crystalline armor more sophisticated. A commander, Sarah's tactical assessment supplied, while Chris's knowledge identified the specific signatures of high-ranking separatist technology. "This abomination ends now," The commander's voice grated through forced crystalline harmonics. Humanity will be conquered and controlled, not elevated. The natural order must be preserved. Sarah felt Chris's bitter recognition. General Vix, you betrayed our people's true purpose. I preserved it. Vix's armor pulsed with blood-red energy. We are meant to rule, not merge. These humans are beneath us, fit only for exploitation. Look what they've done to you, Chris. This female has corrupted your pure form. Sarah and Chris's merged consciousness flared with shared anger. You fear what you don't understand. They spoke in perfect harmony. Evolution isn't corruption, it's transcendence. The battle that followed defied conventional physics. Vic's artificial crystalline tech clashed against their natural resonance, sending quantum shockwaves through the district. Sarah's combat experience merged with Chris's energy manipulation, allowing them to match the general's raw power with precision and skill. But Vix had centuries of experience. His attacks drove them back, each blast of corrupted crystalline energy threatening to shatter their resonance. Sarah felt their merged form straining, the incomplete transformation making them vulnerable. The shield network is at 70%. Maya's voice cut through their combat focus. But Vic's attacks are destabilizing the power grid. We're losing cohesion. Sarah accessed Chris's knowledge, understanding blooming between them. The shield network wasn't just a defense, it was a catalyst. Once activated, it would facilitate resonance bonds across the planet, offering humanity a choice: evolution through willing partnership. We need to get closer, Sarah thought, feeling Chris's agreement. His armor has a fundamental flaw. They permitted Vix to drive them back, appearing to weaken. The general pressed his advantage, his crystalline weapons blazing with destructive energy. Submit or be destroyed, he demanded. Your species will serve its proper role. Sarah felt the last stage of her transformation begin, crystalline patterns completing their spread through her nervous system. Time seemed to slow as their merged consciousness reached its full potential. In that moment of perfect clarity, they saw Vix's fatal mistake. Our proper role, they said, their voice carrying the harmonics of true resonance, is to evolve together. They moved as one, faster than Vix's artificial systems could track. Their combined form flowed through his defenses like light through crystal, reaching the core of his armor. Sarah's combat expertise guided their strike, while Chris's energy merged with the enslaved crystals in Vix's tech. The general's scream cut off as his armor exploded from within, the freed crystalline structures seeking their natural resonance patterns. The shock wave knocked out power to the entire district, plunging everything into darkness. But in that darkness, something new began to shine. In the darkness of the powered-down district, Sarah and Chris's merged form glowed like a newborn star. Their resonance had reached its peak, transforming them into something that existed between states of matter, neither fully solid nor energy, but a perfect synthesis of both. Through their enhanced perception, they watched as the freed crystals from Vix's armor sought out compatible human hosts among his fallen troops. The process they had undergone was beginning to repeat itself, nature finding a way despite artificial constraints. The invasion fleet is launching pods. Maya's voice carried through the crystalline network. They're making their final push before we can activate the shield. Sarah extended their shared senses upward, through the atmosphere and into orbit. The enemy fleet hung like dark geometric wounds in space, their corrupted crystalline tech creating discordant patterns in reality itself. Thousands of drop pods were descending, each carrying troops equipped with technology designed to enslave both species. The shield network needs power, Tiller reported, their patterns showing urgent calculations. The grid is down across the entire district. Sarah felt Chris's knowledge flow through their bond, revealing a solution that was both brilliant and desperate. We can power it, they said in their harmonized voice. Our resonance is strong enough to jumpstart the entire network. That much energy could burn out your bond, Maya warned. The transformation isn't complete enough to handle that kind of power transfer. They felt the truth of her words. Their merger, though powerful, was still stabilizing. Channeling enough energy to power a planetary shield network would push them beyond their limits. But through their shared consciousness, they could see no other choice. The first drop pods were entering the atmosphere, their sonic booms rattling the damaged buildings around them. Each impact would release more troops equipped with enslaving technology, turning Earth into a battleground between natural evolution and forced subjugation. "We have to try," Sarah's thought merged with Carissa's determination. "Everything we are for everything we could become." They moved to the center of the facility, where the shield network's main conduits converged in a complex geometric pattern. Maya and Taylor worked frantically to prepare the system, their own resonance bond allowing them to make adjustments at quantum speeds. Above them, the invasion force began its final descent. Sarah could feel the wrongness of their technology, the pain of crystals forced into unnatural configurations. Through Carissa's understanding, she knew that each corrupted crystal was like a tortured prisoner, bound into service against its nature. "Ready," Maya announced, her voice tight with tension. "The network is aligned, but you'll only have one chance." Sarah and Carissa's merged form took position at the center of the conduit array. Their shared consciousness expanded, touching every crystal, every circuit, every quantum connection in the network. The scope of it was overwhelming, a web of potential covering the entire planet. "Remember," Carissa's thought whispered through their bond, "the resonance isn't about power, it's about harmony." Understanding bloomed between them. They weren't going to force the network to activate, they were going to show it the way, just as their own bond had formed through natural resonance. The first drop pods crashed into the city streets outside. Enemy troops emerged, their corrupted crystal armor casting angry red light across the ruins. But Sarah and Chris were already beginning their work. They opened themselves fully to resonance, letting their merged energy flow into the network. Instead of pushing or forcing, they simply showed it what was possible. Their bond became a template, a perfect example of what human and crystalline life could achieve together. The network responded. Crystalline structures throughout the facility began to glow with inner light. The geometric patterns of their shared perception expanded outward, touching other crystals, other humans, showing them all a glimpse of potential unity. Pain lanced through their merged form as the power drain intensified. Sarah felt their bond stretching, straining against its limits. But Carissa's presence steadied her, their shared determination keeping them focused. "It's working." Maya's voice seemed to come from very far away. "The network is activating. The pattern is, it's beautiful." Through their fading perception, they saw it happening. The shield wasn't forming as a simple barrier. It was emerging as a vast crystalline lattice, a living network of potential bonds extending through the atmosphere. As it touched the invasion fleet, corrupted crystals began to break free of their artificial constraints, seeking their true nature. Enemy ships began to fall dark as their enslaved technology awakened to the possibility of willing partnership. Drop pods stopped in mid-descent, their occupants experiencing the first touch of true resonance. The transformation, Sarah managed to think through their straining bond. It's spreading. Yes, Carissa's consciousness merged with hers one final time. Evolution cannot be stopped. It can only be embraced. Their shared form began to fade, the enormous energy drain finally overwhelming their incomplete bond. But as darkness took them, they felt the network complete its activation. The shield was more than a defense, it was an invitation, offering every human and crystal being on Earth the chance to choose evolution over conquest. The last thing they perceived, before consciousness fled entirely, was the invasion fleet's signatures changing, corrupted geometries transforming into the clean, harmonious patterns of natural resonance. They had done more than stop an invasion. They had started a revolution. Sarah awoke to a world transformed. A crystalline enhanced vision showed her a reality fundamentally changed by the activation of the shield network. The quantum computing district, once abandoned, now pulsed with new life, geometric patterns of natural resonance flowing through every structure. Carissa's consciousness brushed against hers, their bond different now. No longer the desperate merger of survival, but something more refined, more stable. We survived, their thoughts intertwined, though perhaps not entirely unchanged. Sarah examined their shared form. The transformation had completed during their unconsciousness, creating something unprecedented. Her human body now housed permanent crystalline structures, while Carissa's crystalline form had developed organic components. They could separate physically while maintaining their mental bond, two distinct beings sharing one enhanced consciousness. The network's activation affected everyone differently, Maya explained, approaching with Tiller. Their own resonance bond had evolved, showing similar signs of stabilization. Those with natural compatibility are discovering their potential at their own pace. Those who resist remain unchanged. Through their enhanced perception, Sarah and Chris could see the changes rippling through New Shanghai. The invasion force's survivors had been the first to transform, their enslaved crystals breaking free to form natural bonds. The city glowed with new resonance patterns as humans and crystalline beings found their compatible partners. The fleet, Sarah asked, though she could already sense the answer through their shared awareness. Transformed, Tiller confirmed, their patterns showing satisfaction. When their crystals awakened, the commanders had no choice but to stand down. Many have already begun forming natural bonds with their former prisoners. Director Walsh's arrival interrupted their discussion. He looked older, worn by the events of the past few days, but his eyes showed the geometric awareness of someone beginning to experience resonance himself. The Security Council has been in emergency session, he announced, his voice gruff, but not hostile. The protocols are being rewritten. We can't exactly maintain isolation policies when half the planet is developing crystalline bonds. Sarah felt Carissa's amusement ripple through their connection. Perhaps now your species will understand why we couldn't explain everything initially. Some things must be experienced to be believed. Walsh nodded reluctantly. We're establishing a new division, the Resonance Integration Command. We need people who understand both sides, who can help guide others through the transformation process. He fixed Sarah with a meaningful look. Assuming you're interested in a promotion, Specialist Chen. Sarah shared a moment of communion with Caris, their merged consciousness considering the possibilities. They could see the challenges ahead. Not everyone would welcome evolution, and there would always be those who feared change. But they also saw the potential. A future where humanity and crystalline beings grew together, each making the other stronger. We accept, they said in harmony, but on one condition. No more protocols that prevent natural bonds. Evolution finds a way. Our job should be to guide it, not control it. Agreed, Walsh replied, then smiled slightly. Though I doubt we could stop it now anyway. The resonance is spreading beyond Earth. Our deep space arrays are picking up signals from other systems. It seems your little revolution is going galactic. Through their bond, Sarah accessed Carissa's deeper knowledge of space. Other crystalline factions would come, some seeking alliance, others resistant to change. Earth would become a beacon, showing what was possible when evolution was embraced rather than feared. We'll need to establish training facilities, Maya suggested, her scientist's mind already racing with possibilities. Research centers to study the different forms of resonance, medical facilities to help those struggling with transformation. And defense centers, Sarah added, her tactical awareness highlighting future challenges. Not everyone will choose peace. We need to be ready to protect those who want to evolve. Carissa's consciousness merged more deeply with hers, showing her visions of possible futures. The real work is just beginning. Transformation is not just about physical change, it's about learning to see reality in new ways, to understand that strength comes from harmony, not dominance. As if in response to their words, the shield network pulsed with new energy. Sarah's enhanced perception showed her the pattern of it, a living lattice of potential, offering endless possibilities for growth and change. Through their bond, she and Chris could feel others awakening to their potential, each resonance bond unique yet part of a greater whole. So, Walsh said, looking out of the transformed city, "What's our first step?" Sarah felt Chris's energy harmonize with hers as they answered, "We show them how to dance with evolution. The rest, their merged consciousness sparkled with possibility, they'll discover for themselves." Above them, the SHIELD network continued its quiet work, a testament to what was possible when fear gave way to understanding. The protocols that had once divided them had become a bridge, leading humanity and crystalline beings toward a future neither species could have achieved alone. It wasn't just a new chapter in their history. It was the beginning of a new kind of story altogether, one written in resonance and light, in the language of evolution itself.